Good day, mates. Welcome to the podcast for Gugabe. I'm Gugabe, and this is Technical Tim. How are we?
Good, good.
All right, very enthusiastic today. Ready to face the world. Rob some bookies.
Sorry, I'm not feeling too hot today, so if I'm a little unenthusiastic, that's probably why. But I'll get through this.
Yeah, we all know Tim was a Gillespie super fan. We understand.
Yeah, I am. I mean, but it kind of just is what it is.
Look,
I'm glad I didn't have any money on it.
the bright side, Gillespie can't remember the fire divers, so
Yeah, that was a brutal finish.
I had some Lee around one at like plus 1200, but honestly, I don't think that was like a conclusive result or anything. I just could see Lee blasting him out in the first round.
Could make the next Gillespie line like a little more affordable, which isn't a bad thing. But yeah, so it kind of just is what it is. And then I don't think we're going to recap too much on that card, but we'll just mention Diaz, Masvidal. I ended up playing like a late play on Masvidal. After our podcast, I kind of researched more, and I just figured he'd land a little too clean too often. And Diaz, whenever I watched his Pettis fight, I kind of just thought I didn't realize how much he relied on clenching and like wrestling and pressuring, and I was just like, that's not something he can just go to here as much.
Pretty much, like Masvidal could just kind of shut him down every phase. It was pretty much. I expected it to be about that one-sided. I think Masvidal was just kind of trolling for most of it, so it wasn't like Masvidal was on his A game.
Yeah, he did fight pretty smart by going up with the clinch in moments of kind of just like Diaz pressuring. So I thought that was kind of smart just to stay out of danger a little bit. But yeah, he kind of just killed him, to be honest. I was fine with the stoppage personally.
I think one's going to be stopped earlier. Like after round one, that cut was huge. Anyway, otherwise, yeah, Wonder Boy looked good. That was nice. Personally, felt Ivanov deserves the decision over Lewis, but counting strikes is hard. I think I'll probably have to push on to Russia anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so starting in Moscow, was it? What's that, Petersburg? Honestly, it doesn't matter.
It's in Moscow, I think.
Yakovlev versus Roberts. Roberts actually kind of exceeded my expectations against Vince Pichel. I played Pichel pretty heavily at plus 200, but like Roberts actually looked pretty. He's a solid prospect. He's pretty well put together. And Yakovlev is kind of all over the place, just in terms of like what Yakovlev rocks up. Even against the Silver, it was like, the Silver should have been a fairly easy win for Yakovlev if he showed up. But he still kind of made it hard for himself. But
both guys are kind of low volume. Like I don't know. I think this fight's kind of a mess. I wouldn't be playing Roberts. I feel like Roberts is very reliant on getting his ground game going, and Yakovlev can kind of wrestle. So I could kind of just see these guys trading top position a little bit and kind of being, one of those fights.
Yeah, and Roberts' ground game isn't really that high percentage or dominating. It's like very guillotine heavy and like not necessarily the most top position. Like I would probably play a Yakovlev at plus 150 if I had to play a side, but it kind of passed at the moment.
Yeah,
I could honestly talk myself into half a unit or like a half a unit or a unit untracked on Yakovlev, but I just don't really see much draw me into it at the moment.
Yeah, same thoughts.
Grant versus Popov. Grant only had a minute of fighting in the last 3.5 years, which is a concern. But I kind of don't understand why he's the fair sized dog here. Like even against Bermudez was just kind of a meme punch into a sub.
Yeah, I first couple fights here, I haven't researched heavy. I know everyone though, but I just don't. I'm like blanking a little bit on Grant's game just because the Bermudez fight just happened quick, and but I don't know. Popov is just kind of like he's kind of just like a brawling striker. He'll throw a lot of volume, but he'll get hit himself, and that's just like not a guy I want to bet at minus 190. So yeah,
Well, he's minus 200 now, but yeah. Yeah, Grant is just any functional red grappler, submission guy. He puts up decent volume. He's just generally kind of functional. He's nothing great. And again, it's kind of an issue of the 3 year, only 1 minute of fighting. And like, yeah, early knockdowns aren't a huge deal to me, but still, I'm a little bit concerned by how he got clocked by Bermudez.
yeah,
Even then, like Grant, I could persuade myself to argue he didn't play on Grant. Especially
yeah.
since Popov doesn't seem the best. Like Popov's grappling seems very far up Gogaplada's, which is always an interesting way of approaching grappling.
This kind of reminds me of like the first fight in a way where not like stylistically. It's just kind of like if I was forced to, I'm probably not going to play either. If I was forced to play, I'd probably just side with the dog. Like err on the
Yeah,
side of
like
the dog.
I'd be happy with both these early fights being though even being pick'ems, but whatever.
Yeah,
Speaking of happy to pick 'em, Kianzad versus Jessica Rose Clark. I picked up some Kianzad like plus 140 just because people were telling me it could come in, and I was like, all right, I'll take the arb. But I have no huge convictions about this one. Like, yeah, Kianzad beat it back in the day, but it's been a few years, and neither's really put together that incredible a string of performances in the UFC.
yeah, yeah. Pass.
Yeah, pretty much. Just
I just don't have much to say about these early fights. Like I just don't really care. Um,
Abubakar Nurmagomedov versus David Zawada. I do like David Zawada. I do think he might be a bit too wide here. But again, Zawada's just kind of just he's got that whole condit style,
yeah,
like
yeah.
very just sort of
He's
doing
tough.
crazy shit.
Yeah, he can like catch you in subs and stuff. Like he'll compete. Um, Nurmagomedov was in PFL, and he's just kind of like wrestling heavy.
Yeah,
Um, I think the name is probably
yeah, definitely.
like a part of him being this big of a favorite, but I do think. I mean, I could see him getting the wrestling going because Zawada can kind of get taken down and held down at times. So like I get the line because of the name and everything, but it's just kind of like meh.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I could say, I probably would price it close. Like then we got it off like minus 180, minus 300 almost, probably a bit too far, but yeah, whatever. And Zawada's not really reliable to do anything right. He just kind of does things.
Yeah,
Like Zawada will probably have to finish him because just Zawada doesn't really consistently win rounds.
yeah. That's
Just
what I'm
kind of
afraid
does.
of. Is Zawada's kind of like finish dependent. Like I mean, I'm sure he could maybe win some rounds, but I think it's kind of harder for him to do. So
Yeah, exactly. Like Zawada just seems like a very split decision sort of person. Like Condit is just like immediately what pops in my mind when I think about him. Like
yeah,
less athletic and less skilled, but just like in that kind of I don't believe in winning rounds kind of space. Or like,
yeah,
I can occasionally wander onto something, which is a good idea because I have such breadth of skill, but I'm not going to consistently come out and do things.
yeah. Pretty much.
Um, Roberson, Kopylov. I'm actually kind of tempted by Roberson here, just because Kopylov's going to be probably engaging in the striking match, and I don't necessarily think his defensive fundamentals are quite there. But yeah, Roberson's kind of an idiot. Like I took something like plus 125 because I saw it was coming in, so I was like, yeah, if I could surf the wave, but probably not. No real ambitions going hugely outright in this one. How about you?
Um, the way I see it is, I like if people who are listening and don't know Kopylov, I think he's M1 Global, right? Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
believe
he
so.
was their middleweight champ. Like he's beaten guys who have like beaten UFC fighters, so he's kind of like in that Askarov space where like he's actually like a pretty good debutant. Hard to know exactly how good he is, but the thing I see about Robertson that scares me playing him personally is that like he's never landed more than 50 significant strikes, in his 2 3 round fights, and half of them were on the mat. So it's just if this becomes a kickboxing fight, I'm just afraid of him being a little too low volume, where where I feel like Kopylov can at least compete on the feet in his home country and just like
Yeah,
yeah. Like I just feel like Robertson's gonna have to win by like a close kickboxing fight. Maybe he can like Robertson will mix in takedowns here and there, but I do think Kopylov is like a pretty good grappler. So I don't know. It's just it's one of those where I feel like Roberson's win condition, if he doesn't knock you out, is going to just be a close fight, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to pass altogether. And I
I
don't
mean,
exactly know how good Kopylov is, you know?
yeah, like Herman is kind of a strange meme person, so that fight
True,
was ridiculous.
true. Yeah.
And against Robert, against Marshman, he still landed 90 total strikes. Like, you know, he spent a
Yeah.
lot of time on top, but it wasn't like he was doing nothing. Like, if you actually went by when he was on his feet, he was reasonably productive.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, he was landing jabs and stuff. So no, I feel you. I feel
I
you.
think I think he was on. I remember him like riding out a bunch of top time from memory. Did he? Yeah.
Yeah, no, he did. He got some takedowns, and he wrote up some top times. But yeah, no, he landed a little more than I guess he was a little busier than I'm kind of giving him credit for.
Yeah.
But
Like he thinking, there's Jack Marshman. Who cares?
yeah, Marshman's kind of a punching bag at the same time, though. Like it wasn't like
Yeah.
Roberson was super busy at that either. But yeah, it's just kind of
Uh,
like one of those fights. I see it as like maybe a high variance striking fight where I don't really have strong opinions, but I think Roberson at his earlier line was not a bad play. But yeah, that's kind of the way I see it. I'm excited for that fight, though. It's a good little fight.
Definitely makes sense. Khabilov versus Khandozhko. I mean, Kapilov's coming up in weight and hasn't looked great lately, but I feel like he's just kind of better at Khandozhko at what Khandozhko wants to do.
Yeah, I think Khabilov can probably out wrestle him here. His volume is a little concerning, though. Khabilov, just kind of like how it always
Yep.
is when he's on the feet. Um, But I mean, Achman got some takedowns on
Yeah.
Sergey, so I just feel like Rustam's a good wrestler, like a very good wrestler.
Yeah.
So my hunch here is Rustam probably out wrestles him. But yeah, that's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah. Going life or death with Ackerman's not really a great look. I'm actually surprised there hasn't been more line movement on Khabilov. Again, I suppose he's coming up a weight class. He hasn't looked incredible in the last few fights, but getting in, losing to Carlos Diego for Hayer is not a bad loss. The man is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, CDF is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Like
It's
like
like a lot of
high
it is
high
ABO,
high.
but still.
Yeah, high output. He can grapple his ass off. He's fucking good.
Yeah.
Um, I
It
am
just
worried here though if Khabibov gets his wrestling shut down though that he just kind of gets outworked. Um, but I tend to think Khabibov will probably just out wrestle him to a win.
is definitely a risk.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Um, the people's main event, Magomed Ankalaev versus Dalcha Lungumbiara. I think we both agree that Dalcha was kind of bad, and Ankalaev is sort of strangely wandered out of the focal point of mid-light heavyweight, despite being probably the best prospect, I'd say.
Gugabe, you've been cutting out for the last like 30 seconds, just so you know.
Yeah. See if that improves it.
I
Any
think
better?
I think you're back now. Yeah, just wanted to let you know. Sorry to the listeners.
Yeah, it's fine. So on to Dalcha versus Ankalaev. Hello?
Gugabe. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you're still cutting out a little bit. I'll talk for a second on this one. Um, Ankalaev and Dalcha, it's just I jumped on Ankalaev when he was like minus 170 or something because that line was off in my opinion. And Dalcha is super low volume, only attempted 17 total strikes in his first fight against Townsend. And even though Ankalaev is a little low volume himself, he's a lot busier than Dalcha, better striker, and Dalcha just needs a KO or judo throws to win. And I think Ankalaev's takedown defense and get ups are good enough to nullify the judo throw path, and I don't think Dalcha throws enough to get a KO. Pretty much.
Also, Dalcha's quite small for light heavyweight.
Yep.
Like I remember before his last fight, I was looking into this, and he had a bunch of fights at like the catch weight like 190 in South Africa.
Yeah.
So like I feel like he's gonna be like he's coin typology is 5'10", Ankalaev is 6'2".
6'2". Yeah, yeah. Isn't Ankalaev 6'2"?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah.
I don't think Dalch is even necessarily big
6'3"
enough to be at
actually.
light
Yeah.
heavyweight. Dalch
Yeah.
is quite small at heavyweight. He doesn't really have many skill sets which are functional. I guess he could just like land some crazy power hook or something, but he looked bad off his back on the South African regionals. I just don't think Dalcha was really UFC tier. Like he got Townsend, who was not UFC tier, but Dalcha should really be fighting on TNC against like a guy who was actually pretty well put together. There should be just levels to it fight. And I think minus
Yeah,
300 is starting to get a bit. Even minus 300, I think I'd price Ankalaev close to minus 500. But like I got on minus 150 when I got on early, so I'm not gonna add.
yeah, I got a ton in that like below -200 range, like I think around like -160 to 70, like right around there. So I'm gonna arb some off because I knew this line was gonna get hit. Like the physical advantages and just kind of how they match up. But
And also people just enjoy betting on Russians in Russia. I just feel like,
yeah,
whenever I see a Russian card, I expect the Russians to all close at like minus 500 because that's historically how it's gone, regardless of their value or not.
yeah. Um, like the only worry about Ankalaev is he doesn't throw like a ton, but he like it's not like that bad. I'm just comparing him to good fighters, because I actually think highly of him, but he also doesn't get hit really. And yeah, like he's also not one to just kind of like he wants to be dominating. I feel like he'll
Yeah,
throw if he needs to start winning the round or something. Um, but
like
like
I'd honestly,
Clifton Abreu's not bad, I don't think, and Ankalaev pretty much fucked him up.
yeah, I'd take a bro over Dalcha.
Yeah, I would
And
too.
like I know, and the prize would be stupid. Like back I think after that last Dalcha fight, we both said there's like this guy's going to be a great fight next fight,
Yeah, then
just
this was a
because.
perfect opponent.
And also, if you watch that Dalcha fight in the South African regionals where he got like subbed instantly,
Yeah,
I don't remember which one it was, and it's just like he just clearly had nothing off his back, and he's been held down a few times. I just really struggle to see where he wins this fight. Short, some
Uncle.
sort of Hernandez-esque running, blitzing, hooking sort of shit.
It's gonna have to be that or some type of like bunch of judo throws or something. But I feel like Ankalaev's too big and he has enough grappling to where he can nullify that. And Dalcha just doesn't even throw enough standing strikes. So like of course he can hit one, but whenever you're throwing 17 standing strikes in a couple rounds, it lowers your chances. And and he's consistent with his low volume in ECF too. Like he barely throws. And
Yeah,
Ankalaev's good. I would like him to pick up his volume in later fights, but I'm also kind of judging him amongst really good fighters. But he doesn't get hit either, so yeah.
yeah. I'd like him to fight. I'd also like him to fight more against better competition. That'd be nice. But anyway, Shamil Gazmatov versus Glidson Abreu. Bro didn't actually look bad against Alvey. He looked like he actually sort of put the time in, figured out what Alvey was going to do. Like, obviously, out thinking Sam Alvey isn't necessarily a massive favourite in the cap, but it showed some level of like understanding of where he was and what he was doing. And Shamil Gazmatov is a undefeated Russian regional man. Is he an
Yeah.
M1 champion?
He um he was in PFL.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
fought like
yeah,
Jordan and a few others. Like I watched some of his fights and um yeah, like I think Klitzen can probably compete here a little bit. Like I expect it to be like a fairly competitive fight. I kind of throw it in that same tier of the lower of those like Roberts, Yakovlev, Grant, and Popov fights where I'd probably just side with the underdog if forced to play it, but I'll probably just stay away.
yeah. I feel like people are over punishing Abreu for losing to Ankalaev. If it gets like plus 200 or something, I'll take a swing.
Yeah, if it gets stupid, I don't think taking a shot on Abreu is bad. Like Abreu will win some takedowns and stuff too, but yeah, like I do want to like throw out a disclosure. Like my first play is Ankalaev, and then some of these other fights, like the ones we've been talking about, like Abreu and then Roberts Yakovlev and Grant Popov, I kind of want to look into a little more, but I don't imagine I'll have a play on them either.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I could see the market going stupid in the next day or two because like Gamzatov is an undefeated Russian in Russia,
Yeah.
so you never know if he randomly ends up being minus 500. But yeah, I don't mind Klebray's game. He seems pretty competent. I feel like the Ankalaev thing is more Ankalaev being incredibly good than it was necessarily Bray being bad. and sometimes the market just misreads these sorts of things.
And also to throw kind of just like a gauge on Ankalaev is he he beat the fuck out of that Maxim Grishin guy, and Maxim
Yeah,
Grishin has fought Jordan Johnson, and Jordan Johnson's like a fairly competent middleweight to light heavyweight, in the UFC. And that Maxim Grishin has fought Johnson twice and beat him once, and then had a draw in the second fight. So it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is Ankalaev has shown he can beat some pretty good UFC fighters.
and like Abreu's beating Nemkov.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
that
like
too.
a semi-decent name.
I
Anyway,
thi Yeah, I think Abreu beat Johnny Walker back in the day too, so
yeah, that's like Johnny Walker, Johnny Walker.
yeah,
That's how he rolls.
yeah.
Anthony Rocco Martin versus Ramzan Emeev. Kind of tempted by Tony Martin here. Haven't really done deep tape on it yet, but I don't know. I just generally like Tony Martin's competency. And Ramzan Emeev is coming down the welterweight.
Yeah,
I don't know. Ramzan Emeev is very good at cage pushing, and like he does the right things to win rounds. But I think Tony Martin's is quite a big step up from who he's otherwise been fighting.
yeah, I tend to
And
agree too, yeah,
I do like I do feel Tony Martin's quite a smart fighter too. Even against Demian Maia, we kind of like tried to mitigate a lot of what Maia was going to do.
yeah,
Like he didn't necessarily succeed, but I felt like he was making correct decisions as much as insofar as he could. It was
yeah,
like, it's a guy who like Emeev's best win Sam Alvey, and that was like Sam Alvey looked awful there. It's just kind of like I think I might just rate Tony Martin higher than most people because I consider him to be like top 15 welterweight.
yeah. I think this fight is gonna play out similar as far as competitiveness to kind of the Matthews and Martin fight, where I think it will be like pretty close. And just kind of depends who just, I don't know, shows up in the right position and stuff. I feel like Ameev will probably land a couple takedowns here and there,
Yeah,
and it's just kind of like, does Martin happen to kind of reverse position and things like that? That's the way I see this. Like I just feel like it will be. I think it's going to be close, and it'll just depend on just like a couple positions. Like I don't see either guy completely dominating, like the entire fight, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, then like Martin's very competent though. Like I think he's good. Um,
yeah.
I, I
Again, it's
I
one
do
of
wish he threw a little more strikes though, but he is still he's gotten better. Like I feel like he's improved over the
yeah.
last few fights too.
And it's not these ones where like I'd like the underdog to be a bit wider, and because the Russia card against the Russian, it is quite possible that Martin roundly shits out.
Yep.
Ed Herman versus Kardis Ibragimov. I love Kardis Ibragimov after I live bet a fuck load on Jung against him.
Yeah.
I consider Ed Herman to be better than Jung, and I don't see and Kardis is once again in on 10 days notice. So it's like why is Herman the dog here? Please explain. Like he's old and all that, but Ibragimov isn't really very good at anything apart from wild hooks.
Yeah, Ankalaev was kind of my first play, and like this is probably going to be the other one that I'm super interested in. I don't get why Herman is plus 160. That's just not correct. Um, and like Herman's tough as fuck, and I don't know, like he's been KO'd like a couple times versus
He's been
like Brunson, and then someone else who was pretty good. I forget, Krylov, I think.
Yeah, quite a lot from Brunson, and the other one was leg injury.
Yeah, and like
Um,
I don't know, yeah, like I just feel like I think I think Herman should be favored personally.
yeah, it's like he's 12 years older and he's almost 40 and all that. But on the other hand, Kardis Ibragimov's kind of just hilarious meme shirts. Like I'd take Herman over Jung pretty comfortably. It's also nice they put this on the main card, so I'll be able to live it easily because we both
Yes.
know we're going to hammer Herman after 3 minutes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Uh,
Kardis versus Kardis Jung is probably the easiest live betting spot of the year because I got Jung at like plus 450 after round one.
yeah,
And then Ibragimov was like clearly having a heart attack in the corner.
yeah. It's just the way I see it is Herman won't, like Herman's tough, and won't be gassed late, and he'll still be there. And I just feel like this guy's going to be super, super tired, you know? So, and like, I don't know, like Herman will probably just kind of take over, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's probably one of those fights where a Herman loss will probably be like a brutal, will be a wild hook swinging 2 minute knockout. But oh well,
Yeah,
gotta deal
like
with that sometime.
yeah, like I mean, it's a light heavyweight brawling striking fight, so there's gonna be high variance. Like either guy could just die in the first minute, but like
Yeah,
um, you have to look at the implied percentages. The implied percentages are like 37% for Herman, and that's just not correct. Like, I mean,
yeah.
that's just off in my opinion. But
And like I'd be surprised if Carlos has completely restructured his game on like 10 days' notice, 4 months after the last time he hilariously gassed. Like it
and
wasn't.
Herman also brings a type of fight that makes you just swing. So like
Yeah, definitely.
and
Like
Herman can kind of counter wrestle like a little bit. Like he's not an amazing defensive wrestler, but he's not bad either, you know.
yeah.
It'll be a shit show for sure though. Like I'll decide what I'm gonna do, but yeah,
It's amazing. Usually the shit shows on the bottom of the card, but it feels like this one they put them on top. They put them up the top.
yeah.
Speaking of shit shows, Robert's first Imadaev. I've kind of backed off on it now, but like I put a unit on Roberts at plus 170 just 'cause I feel like this game is stupid meme swang fest. Like it's just my welterweight policy. There's like a class of welterweights where I'll take anybody at plus 200 against anybody else in that little zone.
Yeah.
Just how I see it.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those fights like neither guy like seems to really wrestle, so it kind of seems like it will be on the feet. Like Roberts has never landed a takedown in his career. Imadaev didn't really go for them against Griffins. I expect it to be on the feet, and it's just kind of
Did
Imadaev.
Roberts wrestle against Zawada? Or does Zawada just like end up? I remember Roberts had top position against Zawada a bunch of
He
times.
did, but I don't think it was really. I don't think it was Roberts really going for takedowns. It was more kind of just like scrambles would occur, and Zawada would end up on bottom. Um,
Yeah,
it wasn't him like actively going for if he went for takedowns, it might have been like one or something. But like I just watched that fight, but like generally over all the fights of Roberts, which is a big sample, he doesn't really go for takedowns, you know. Um,
yeah, definitely.
like he made maybe he went for like one or two in his entire career, but Imadaev, I do like that he's like super aggressive and throws a lot, you know, but he yeah, like Roberts can still crack. I tend to think this might just come down on who's more durable, and it might be
Yeah,
Imadaev, you know.
yeah.
Um,
Could easily end up coming down to Imadaev having durability and cardio edges, and that being it eventually. But honestly, I'd just say this fight as being kind of a coin flip anyway. Like
yeah, I
Imadaev
can
is
agree with
very
that.
defensively open.
I'm okay with Imadaev being the favorite in Russia, like
Yeah,
with
I don't mind.
the
I,
probable durability edge, but I see what you're saying too.
I don't mind favorite minus 200. Like minus 150, sure. Minus 200. Because there's gonna be some random swagging shit here. It could just come down to one or two knockdowns. Could come down to and
Yeah,
Imadaev, the way Imadaev throws himself into shit too. It's not like it's an easy cardio thing. Like against
oh no,
Griffin, that was kind of a meme fight.
yeah, and he didn't I mean, even in round 3, like, even though he should have beat or even though he should have won that round 3 against Griffin, because Griffin, like, pretty much was losing the entire round, and then I think he had, like, one moment where the Atlanta crowd cheered, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but, yeah, so I see what you mean because like, Griffin even kinda hung with him towards the end of the fight, but it's like I could just see I see your reasoning because I just feel like a fight like this could also have high variance because 'cause they'll just kinda be swinging, but
I personally scored at 30-25 for Griffin, so I have no idea what you're saying, but
I, uh I mean, I thought it should have been a draw, but
yeah, same actually. Like when I was surprised I got that win. I think we went head to head on it, and I was like, yeah, draw's probably fair here.
yeah,
But no, well,
for the
shit
listeners,
happens.
for the technical Tim Gugabe chronicles, we had a argument pre-fight on who was gonna win that fight. And, even though I think it should have been a draw, and I think Imadaev probably won 2-1 without the point deduction, I do like, I've actually rolled back, and I think Griffin was the correct side. because I just feel like he's a little more proven, and it shows like Griffin can spam doubles and keep a high volume versus UFC competition. And Imadaev, we just like didn't see against UFC competition. So I'm like willing to kind of like, admit that. But
Yeah,
you can
and
also
also
yourself too at the same time.
yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Griffin was a dog, and it was just like the way it was. I just saw Imadaev having greater variance. Like we
Yeah.
kind of know who Griffin is, regardless.
Yeah.
Well, Imadaev could honestly have been anywhere between like a 4 out of 10 to 8 out of 10, and like a 10 out of 10. And you're like, well, I'm pretty sure Griffin's a 7.
Yeah.
And why am I blind punting on a favorite who I could be like finish either side of him?
Yeah. I thought what I saw from Imadaev on tape, I did like, but at the same time, you're right. Like it's just there's just variance on where they could show up. And because like even Askarov, I thought Askarov looked like a really good, like a solid striker on tape. And then he kind of maybe underperformed in the striking against Moreno a little bit. Or so yeah, you can just have a little variance in kind of the whenever you show up. But
Yeah,
Volkov Hardy, I personally think Hardy's the value side here. Like I'm not saying I think he's gonna win, but the way I see it is like in a heavyweight fight, Hardy's got an obvious KO path, like that can just happen.
I
But
don't think Hardy's a massive hitter for heavyweight. Like
agreed.
I think he's definitely like a decent hitter, but I don't think he's like Lewis or whatever. And Volkov has taken some shots. Like
Agreed.
even against Lewis, it wasn't like Lewis caught him once. Lewis had to catch him like 6 or 7 times.
I'm not saying Hardy's Francis Ngannou, but I do think Hardy hits hard enough and Volkov's hittable enough, and this is
Yeah,
heavyweight where a KO could happen for a plus 230.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. Like yeah,
and
I would not play any heavyweight past minus 200, just respecting that. I think the striking dynamic here, like every time we see Greg Hardy's been very sort of back foot pot shotty, and I
yeah,
feel like he's been able to do that because of his athleticism and his length. And like Volkov isn't necessarily the best at using his length, but I feel like just the size of Volkov could make it so Hardy can't really be in his area of comfort, which I think could be a major issue for a guy like Hardy who just doesn't necessarily have the depth of skill.
yeah, like I, yeah. At the same time, I think Hardy's just like generally pretty good in the first round too. So I just feel like the first round, Hardy could easily win. And like I know Volkov keeps a high volume of strikes, but a lot of his numbers were against like completely gassed fighters like Derek Lewis, where he just spammed up a lot of points. So I could also see Volkov's maybe his volume not being there right away and maybe it comes on late. Um I don't know. I just I guess what I'm saying is I would not play Volkov at minus 270.
Yeah, great. I
Yeah.
was actually coming back in. Like if Volkov gets pushes back in, I might look at playing him. But I feel like just my way I see striking, I just could see Hardy having real issues if he can't just kind of sit in the back foot and wait. Because like the way Hardy strikes, I feel like it's very sort of reliant on him having the distance edge.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally, I wouldn't play past minus 200 because it's heavyweight. It's stupid. It's meme. But
And
I
I'm
do
not saying I'm
think,
playing any of this, but just some lines that kind of jumped out to me is Volkov decision plus 285 looks like Hardy seems like he's never really been hurt. He seems like he has a good
yeah,
chin, and
I
I don't
got
know.
plus
He kind
500 over here, so I like that.
yeah, like I feel like that's
Aussie
a pretty good
books,
line. Um,
good old Aussie
but
books for having the opening their own lines.
even like Hardy decision at plus 950, like I could just see this fight playing out a little bit.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Like I'm probably not going to have any action, but I do tend to think Hardy is liver than people think. But
yeah, that's fair.
Zabit and Cater, I played Zabit pretty heavy or at like minus 190 to 200. I think you can now it's like minus 256 I'm seeing to minus 300. Um, the fight this reminds me of is Jack Shore, No Helen Hernandez. Not saying like they're each the same fighter or anything. It's just I feel like Hernandez had a limited win condition against Shore of just like boxing him. And I didn't necessarily even think that Hernandez was the better boxer or striker there. And that's kind of how I see it here, is I feel like Kattar has to win by throwing straight punches because that's all Kattar does. And I don't even necessarily think he's the better, like that he'll win the striking exchanges if they're on the feet. And then Zabit has the kicking edge and he has a major grappling edge most likely, but we don't know for sure because Kattar hasn't been tested there all that much, but Zabit's a pretty fucking good grappler, so that's kind of the way I see the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's broadly. I'm not. I got to minus 200 because I saw it there, and I was like, yeah, Zabit's always get close, always going to get slammed on.
Yeah.
Because again, Zabit in Russia, I know how the market operates.
Yeah.
It shouldn't do that, but it does. Like you give me a Russian card, and I could say Russians who are currently like minus 200 ish. I'm pretty sure they'll close the place like an half the match.
Yeah, like, and also just Kattar, like, I like Kattar. I played him versus Lamas. But he's so reliant on head strikes, and that's all he does. Like, it's not like he's gonna
Yeah,
or kick. 86% of his strikes are punching head strikes, and Zabit's overall striking defense is really fucking elite, and he defends head strikes at 78%. So he's even better at defending head strikes. I just feel like he's just going to make Kattar miss, and he'll kind of just pick him off with kicks and probably get some takedowns. And I just feel like Kattar needs to land a big shot early to kind of swing rounds, or hope Zabit gasses out big time. Um, and I just think Zabit's cardio even is kind of being overstated against Stevens and Bochniak too. That's kind of what I think. Like he slows down, but I don't think he's like defenseless at all in round 3.
yeah, definitely. And also, it'd be nice to see Zabit actually consistently going for grappling. Like again, that Stevens fight was just like close and needed to be. But yeah, I'm not like I played Moicano very heavily over Kaiser, and that surprised me because Kaiser didn't seem to have like ever like attended a leg kicking session. He seemed completely unaware of it that existed,
Yeah.
which is still like shocking to him, like how badly Kaiser was getting leg kicked.
Yeah, I don't know if Zabit will like Zabit throws
No,
leg
Speed
kicks.
doesn't. I don't think Speed will do that, but still, the
And I
fact that
don't think
Kaiser had
he'll
such a big issue.
Yeah, I don't think he'll exclusively only throw leg kicks, but if he did do that, he would probably just murder. But I do expect him to he'll definitely throw kicks to the body and to the legs. I don't know if it'll be as leg kick heavy as Moicano was though. But a thing about Zabit, he also lands 6.23 takedowns per 15. So it's like, and I think he attempts like over 10. So I just don't see how he's not going to get a takedown or two here either.
Yeah,
Um,
the
and I
takedown
think there's
should
a
just be a
very good
round or
chance he just
finish.
murders Kattar once he gets him down. But even if he doesn't, I think he'll get enough takedowns to at least get him some rounds too.
Yeah, but the takedown should be around here at the very least. Like,
Yeah.
we've got detailed props up over here, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to touch the beat sub at plus 300, but yeah, I don't know. I was hoping it'd be a bit wider.
Uh, and also, just to mention Zabit and Stevens, like it did seem like he didn't go to his wrestling that much because he didn't really go for takedowns in round 1, but he still out grappled Stevens heavy in round 2 and went for a
Yeah,
couple in round 3. Like he went 3 for 8 on takedowns, so he still like did wrestle, and he tends to go for like over 8 takedowns per fight. So like he maybe should have done it earlier, but he was also getting the advantage of the striking early, so maybe he just didn't feel the need to do it.
it's also like he had been told that the judges were going to had been paid in his favour regardless, and one of the greatest robberies of the 20th century was executed. I still think that nut shot in round 1 won to beat the fight.
It could have had an X factor, but he's
I
still
just feel like Stevens was really pushing him backwards well, and like was like kind of getting into his zone, and then just like beat 30, 40 seconds of break, and Stevens just never got back into that like rhythm.
like I hear you, but if you like, I agree. Like that definitely kind of could have maybe changed things, but I still feel like he kind of won round 1 and 2 pretty clear anyway. Like I guess maybe it allowed Zabit to get a break, you know? But
That's what I mean. But like off the nut shot, he gets a 40-second break to recollect himself, and immediately off the nut shot, he lands like a 4-strike combo, which kind of pulls him ahead for the round.
true.
But like I'm like, if he hadn't given him his 40-sec break and time to like to change momentum in the fight, I feel like he loses the round. That's my kind of was how I felt. Oh, I've seen it. I'm not saying that like Stevens didn't lose round one, but I felt like that shot really affected the tempo of the fight.
Yeah, I hear you. I do
Yeah,
think Steven's success in round 3 was overstated too. Like if you rewatch that, I actually thought it was super close. And then I was kind of like watching it and I was just expecting because I just kind of remember watching it live, the perception was that Stevens kind of like owned round 3. But then when I watched it live, I actually like didn't really know who I would have scored it to. And then once I looked at even like fight metrics, like Stevens got outlanded. So I did
yeah,
think Stevens won because he landed a few like kind of big shots, but he didn't land like anything huge. And Zabit was landing too.
yeah.
I think it was like just Stevens did a lot better in round 3 than the previous rounds, you know. So people were kind of cheering for him. But yeah,
Yeah, definitely. It's always an issue of like I feel like sometimes judging will take place against the narrative. People
yeah.
have preconceived notions of like how well a guy's should be doing. So like an underdog sort of overperforming might get like a round or two that might not necessarily deserve just because it seems them like succeeding.
The best example for it of like grading on a curve was Gustafson Jones 1
Yeah,
because there was a round or two like and a lot of people seem to think Gustafson like won that fight, but I thought Jones clearly won it.
yeah,
um, like it was competitive, and Gustafson took definitely took one round, maybe two, but giving him 3 or even like 4 would have been a major stretch in my opinion.
yeah. That's fair.
Yeah,
It's like again, because people just get wrapped up in the branding of certain fighters, and
yeah,
like there was a bunch of scoring. I feel like people just get lazy. It's like, oh, it's in this phase, or this guy's a big hitter, and it's like, is he landing hard this fight?
yeah. No, I
But
hear you.
still, lazy judging's lazy judging, and it'll always be an issue.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think
Well, all
about
right.
wraps us this
I
week.
gotta roll. I gotta roll actually, but
Yep,
yeah, we'll do another podcast for the Jacare card coming up. So
yep. Um, Paul Craig's gonna dominate Shogun. We all agree.
we'll see. We'll see. That'll be hilarious.
You gotta respect. Oh shit! That's the silver Andrade line's finally dropped. I was like, there's no way that's closing at minus 190.
Yeah. But all right, I'll
Anyway,
see you.
yep. See ya. Have a good one. Bye.